In the next section of this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to add this cool drop shadow effect to your icon. This is an effect we quite often see in the flat design style, and it's something that you can add if you think it adds a little depth and interest to your icons and illustrations and artwork. So I'm going to walk you through how to create this effect. So let's go back to where we were. So we have finished our magnifying glass icon. So I need to create a copy, I need to take the basic shape of the magnifying glass. So I want to forget all of the details and features on top at the moment and just take the basic shape. So first of all, I'm going to start by hiding the question mark, hiding the lens shine. The layers are already locked. Okay. Now I'm just going to select, by selecting on this side, the original circle, holding shift, the original neck and the original handle. So I have 3 items selected. Okay, now I'm going to press Command C or Control C on Windows for copy. Now I'm going to add a new layer. I'm going to call that layer spare layer because it's just for purposes. And then whilst I'm in this layer, I'm going to go to Edit and Paste in Place, and this will paste a copy of those 3 items exactly on top of, exactly in the same place, but in a new layer. Okay, so now as you can see, we have the copy in the new layer. So I can lock the underneath copy so we don't accidentally change it, alter it, or grab it when we don't want to. So the next thing I need to do is create one shape from these 3 items, and it's a tool and a function that can help me do this. So first of all, I'm going to select the 3 items. Okay, now I'm going to go to Windows and a tool called Pathfinder. So this is the Pathfinder dialog box, and there's lots of different functions which we will touch on other functions in future weeks, but now I'm just going to use this function called Unite. And as you can see, when I click that, it unites any closed shapes that are touching. It's a great function. You can create new shapes by adding different existing shapes together. So now we have one new shape rather than 3 different objects, which is just what we need to create the shadow. So I'm going to get rid of the Pathfinder dialog box now. So the next step is to create a shadow. We need a kind of a black shadowy color. So with the new shape selected, I'm going to double click on the fill, and I'm going to overtype with the code for black, which is 000000, and click OK. Now we have a black magnifying glass. Now I'm going to take a copy, so Command C or Control C for Windows, and then Command F to paste it in front, or Control F on Windows. Now I'm going to drag a copy, holding shift will lock it on a 45-degree angle, which is quite nice for a shadow. It keeps it quite accurate for technical purposes. Now the first black shape, I would like to have that reduced to about 20% opacity. The second black shape, which is where the shadow is tapering out, I'd like to reduce that to 0% opacity. So it looks like it's vanished, but it is still there. Okay. Now the next step is we're going to blend the 20% into the 0% to create a shadow. So first of all, with the 20% opacity shadow selected, I'm going to go to Object, Blend, Blend Options, and I'm going to select Specified Distance, and let's try 3 pixels, I think, for now. Okay, and then I'm going to do similar with the 0% opacity shadow, Object, Blend, Blend Options. Yep, I'm on Specified Distance, 3 pixels. Okay, so now I'm going to take both of those shadows, and for one last time I'm going to go to Object and Blend, but this time I'm going to click Make. and wait a moment. Oh, that was quite quick actually. Normally I have to wait a few moments while the computer processes because it's creating a staged blend between the first object and the second object, and that gives us our shadow effect. Now when you're working in Illustrator, because it's still generating each of these individual objects as a blend, you will see a trace outline, but that will not be visible when you generate a JPEG or a PNG, or save your work in any format really. It's just kind of when you're designing, it's showing you what's happening. So don't worry that there's a slight kind of pixely break between the shadows. Oops, sorry, but over zoomed out there. Okay, so we have a shadow. Fantastic. Now we just need to put our shadow in the right place. So if we move the shadow by dragging it in the layers panel underneath the magnifying glass, our shadow is now beneath our magnifying glass, and we can bring our other features into view. So everything's showing now: the magnifying glass icon, question mark, lens shine, and the shadow. Now if you wanted to at this point, you could add a background color, so a new layer, call it background, and then you could add, just using the rectangle tool, square. This is going to be a very black square, but then we can pop over to the Word document, pick up the hex code for that lovely purple, back to Illustrator, double click on the fill, add our new color, et voila, and then we just need to pull that down to the very bottom of the pile so the shadow is above. Okay, so let me just tidy that up and make sure that our fill is covering our workspace. So if you wanted to export your icon as this, you can, or you could export it with a complete transparency. I'm just going to show you how that would look. So if we go to export, save for web, we're in PNG mode. This is generating our PNG view for us now. Don't forget, everything you see in this view that has the checkerboard is transparent. So if you created this icon as a PNG, all of this, including the sort of graduated transparency, would be transparent. So it's really cool that you can create this effect. I'll show you some that I created earlier. If I go to my, excuse the hideous mess of my desktop, Regine's not being a very good girl at keeping her desktop tidy. Here's one I made earlier. So as you can see, you can't see those lines generated within the program. It's quite a smooth finish with the shadow. So yeah, so it's a great technique that we can add to our icons to give an extra bit of depth. And again, we can use a background and have shadows upon shadows, and I will show you a really cool YouTube video that creates a beautiful illustration, and using shadows is one of the techniques they use to add depth to all of the elements. So I hope you've enjoyed this final part of the magnifying glass tutorial, and I hope that you find all of the steps easy to follow. If you have any questions, please do give me a shout.